Welcome to the White Collar Files, the podcast that peels back the layers of the most shocking financial crimes. I'm your host, Ethan, and today we're diving into a scandal that rocked the French political establishment to its core. Get ready to unravel the Cahuzac affair, a tale of hypocrisy, hidden wealth, and a fall from grace that left a nation reeling. Whether you're a political junkie, a finance enthusiast, or simply fascinated by the dark underbelly of power, this episode will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about those who govern us. So, let's follow the money trail and expose the truth behind one of France's most infamous tax fraud cases. In today's episode of the White Collar Files, we're going to explore the Cahuzac tax fraud case, a scandal that erupted in 2013 and sent shockwaves through the French political system. This case is particularly intriguing because it involves Jérôme Cahuzac, a man who was not just any politician, but the very person responsible for cracking down on tax evasion in France. Jérôme Cahuzac was a prominent figure in French politics. A trained doctor who specialized in hair transplants, Cahuzac had built a successful career in both medicine and politics. He served as a member of the National Assembly, the lower house of the French Parliament, and had risen through the ranks of the Socialist Party. In May 2012, when François Hollande became president of France, Cahuzac was appointed as Minister of the Budget, Public Accounts, and Civil Service. This appointment was significant. As budget minister, Cahuzac was tasked with implementing the government's fiscal policies, including efforts to combat tax evasion. He became the public face of the government's push for greater tax compliance and transparency. Cahuzac spoke passionately about the need for all French citizens to pay their fair share of taxes, particularly at a time when the country was grappling with economic challenges. The irony of what was to come cannot be overstated. In December 2012, the investigative website Mediapart dropped a bombshell. They published a story alleging that Cahuzac had held an undeclared bank account in Switzerland for about 20 years. The account, they claimed, had been opened in the early 1990s and later transferred to Singapore in 2009. Initially, Cahuzac vehemently denied these allegations. He went on the offensive, denouncing the claims as slander and even threatening legal action against Mediapart. In a dramatic moment that would later come back to haunt him, Cahuzac stood before the National Assembly and declared, I have never had, any account abroad. Not now, not before. For several months, Cahuzac maintained his innocence. He had the backing of President Hollande and other high-ranking officials in the government. However, as pressure mounted and investigations deepened, cracks began to appear in his story. In March 2013, unable to maintain the facade any longer, Cahuzac resigned from his position as budget minister. But the real bombshell came on April 2, 2013, when he confessed to holding the foreign bank account and to lying about it. In a blog post, Cahuzac admitted that he had held a foreign bank account for about 20 years and that it contained about 600,000 euros. The revelation sent shockwaves through France. Here was the man responsible for fighting tax evasion, admitting to the very crime he was supposed to be combating. The hypocrisy was staggering, and the public reaction was one of outrage and disbelief. The legal consequences were swift. Cahuzac was charged with tax fraud and money laundering. The investigation revealed a complex web of financial maneuvers designed to hide his wealth from French tax authorities. According to the prosecutors, Cahuzac had opened a bank account in Switzerland in 1992 and used it to hide funds from his hair transplant clinic. Over the years, he had allegedly funneled hundreds of thousands of euros into this account and later accounts in Singapore and the Isle of Man. The trial, which began in February 2016, captivated the French public. It was a spectacle that laid bare the workings of offshore finance and the lengths to which some individuals will go to hide their wealth. Cahuzac's defense team argued that the money in the foreign accounts came from legal activities, his work as a hair transplant surgeon, and that he had simply made a mistake in not declaring it. However, the prosecution painted a different picture. They argued that Cahuzac had engaged in a systematic effort to evade taxes, using complex financial structures and offshore havens to hide his wealth. They pointed to his repeated lies, both to the public and to investigators, as evidence of his guilt. In December 2016, the verdict was delivered. Cahuzac was found guilty of tax fraud and money laundering. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison and fined 375,000 euros. The court also barred him from holding public office for 5 years. The Cahuzac affair had far-reaching consequences beyond the fate of one man. It sparked a national debate about political integrity, tax evasion, and the use of offshore havens by the wealthy. The scandal was particularly damaging to President Hollande and the socialist government, who had campaigned on a platform of ethical governance and fighting financial wrongdoing. In response to the scandal, the French government introduced new measures to combat tax evasion and increase transparency in public life. These included stricter disclosure requirements for politicians and harsher penalties for tax fraud. The case also led to increased scrutiny of offshore financial centers and renewed calls for international cooperation in fighting tax evasion. The Cahuzac affair also highlighted the crucial role of investigative journalism in exposing wrongdoing. Mediapart, the online news outlet that broke the story, faced significant pressure and legal threats in the early stages of their reporting. Their persistence in pursuing the story, despite denials from Cahuzac and skepticism from other media outlets, ultimately led to the truth coming to light. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Cahuzac case is the psychology behind his actions. How could someone in such a high-profile position, tasked with combating the very crime he was committing, maintain such a deception for so long? Some analysts have pointed to a sense of entitlement often seen in white-collar criminals, a belief that the rules don't apply to them. Others have suggested that the pressure of maintaining a public image of success and wealth may have driven Cahuzac to take these risks. The case also raises questions about the culture of politics and finance in France. Some critics argued that Cahuzac's behavior, while extreme, was symptomatic of a wider problem of tax evasion among the French elite. The scandal fueled public perceptions that there was one set of rules for ordinary citizens and another for the wealthy and powerful. It's worth noting that the Cahuzac case was not an isolated incident. In the years following the scandal, several other high-profile French politicians faced allegations of financial impropriety. This included former President Nicolas Sarkozy, who was later convicted of corruption in a separate case. These scandals collectively contributed to a growing sense of disillusionment with the political class among the French public. The international dimension of the Cahuzac affair is also significant. The case highlighted the ease with which individuals could move money across borders and hide it in offshore accounts. It underscored the challenges faced by national tax authorities in an era of global finance and the need for greater international cooperation in combating tax evasion. In the aftermath of the scandal, France took a leading role in pushing for greater transparency in international finance. This included advocating for automatic exchange of tax information between countries and cracking down on tax havens. The case thus had ripple effects far beyond France's borders, contributing to a global shift towards greater financial transparency. The Cahuzac affair also had significant implications for the French justice system. Some critics argued that the 3-year prison sentence was too lenient, given the severity of the crime and Cahuzac's position of trust. Others, however, saw it as a sign that even powerful politicians could be held accountable for their actions. It's worth noting that Cahuzac's legal troubles didn't end with his conviction. In 2018, he faced a second trial for allegedly failing to disclose all of his assets as required by law. This underscores the ongoing nature of the case and its continued relevance in French public life. The Cahuzac affair also had personal consequences for those close to him. His ex-wife, Patricia Cahuzac, was also convicted of tax fraud and money laundering for her role in the scheme. This aspect of the case highlighted how financial crimes often involve family members and close associates, creating a web of complicity. As we reflect on the Cahuzac case, it's clear that its impact extends far beyond the fate of one man. It serves as a cautionary tale about the corrosive effects of corruption and the importance of integrity in public office. The case demonstrates how a single act of dishonesty can snowball into a scandal that undermines public trust and threatens the foundations of democratic governance. Moreover, the Cahuzac affair underscores the vital role of checks and balances in a healthy democracy. It shows the importance of a free press, an independent judiciary, and robust oversight mechanisms in holding those in power accountable. Without these safeguards, Cahuzac's deception might have gone undetected indefinitely. The case also highlights the global nature of modern financial crime. In an era of interconnected financial systems and easy cross-border transactions, combating tax evasion and money laundering requires international cooperation and coordination. The Cahuzac affair contributed to a growing recognition of this reality and spurred efforts to strengthen international anti-money laundering frameworks. As we conclude our exploration of the Cahuzac tax fraud case, it's worth considering its lasting legacy. The scandal served as a wake-up call for France and other countries about the prevalence of tax evasion and the need for greater transparency in public life. It led to concrete policy changes and a shift in public attitudes towards financial crime. Yet, the case also raises uncomfortable questions about human nature and the temptations of power. How can we ensure that those entrusted with public office act with integrity? How can we create systems that encourage honesty and discourage corruption? These are questions that continue to challenge societies around the world. The Cahuzac affair reminds us that white-collar crime is not victimless. While it may not involve physical violence, it erodes public trust, undermines the rule of law, and often has far-reaching economic consequences. It's a stark reminder of the importance of vigilance and the need for robust systems to prevent and detect financial wrongdoing. As we wrap up this episode of the White Collar Files, I hope you've gained insights into the complex world of political corruption and financial crime. The Cahuzac case serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of integrity in public office and the devastating consequences when that trust is betrayed. If you found this deep dive into white-collar crime enlightening, please subscribe to our channel and give us a like. Your support helps us continue to shed light on these crucial issues that affect the very fabric of our democracies. Until next time, this is Ethan, reminding you to stay informed and always question those in power.